is going good. Hello, Maria. Hi, darling. Okay, we've got you there. So, ladies, please tag anybody that you think might like to join in this conversation today. We're going to have a live Q&A. Any question that you have around light language, we'll do our best to answer those questions, to the best of our abilities anyway. And we're going to share a little bit about light language, our own experiences with it, with the beautiful Paula that's with me. And also we're going to talk about, drumroll, our next workshop. I'm so excited for this, the light language initiation with Paula and myself, that is starting in 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks now, 18 days. And some of you have already signed up, and oh my God, I cannot wait. Now, with further ado, hi Bernadette. With further ado, I should say, I want to introduce Paula because some of you ladies may not know her if you're coming from my page, unless you've already done the workshop with us last round. You'll know that Paula was assisting and co-assisting with myself, co-hosting, I should say, in the Light Language Experience workshop that we had. When was that? October? Was that November? Oh my God, I can't even remember the time. It finished in December. I just know that. We finished in December, didn't we? So Paula, would you like to introduce yourself to any peeps that maybe don't know who you are, where you're from? And yeah, go ahead, take the mic. I'll put it down.
I live in Leatherhead in the UK, for any that's not in the UK. And yeah, I met you, didn't I, through doing the I Love You Me training, and started to do a little bit of work in some of your containers, and then signed up for the light language level 1 and level 2, and obviously I left my long-term career just before the first lockdown and sort of immersed myself then in some deep healing and soul searching, and did the I Love You Me, which was amazing. And then obviously, which was the right timing of meeting you as well and getting the light language activated. It's just been amazing, and just transformation after transformation, even to be here live on Facebook.
So, how many years ago was it now that you did that course? Was that 2 or 3 years ago you did the course?
It started May 2020 and finished last April.
Okay, yeah. Because you did level 2 obviously as well with me. Yeah, that's right. And you're flying it now. You're hosting a workshop, like you're flying it.
I love it. The light language has just kind of expanded me and my world in so many ways that it's just definitely an integral part, I think, for me now. And even with the I Love You Me sessions, when I'm doing it with people that obviously are open to the healing from the light language, to be able to bring that into those sessions is powerful. And
absolutely,
my intention for my sessions going forward.
What has it done for you? Because you told me, I want you to share this with the peeps watching, really, because I kind of asked you, how has light language transformed your life? Can you give a little example? Because it's going to be different for everybody, right?
Yeah. I think for me, it helped massively with further healing and clearing that. Obviously I'd already started with the I Love You Me, but when you open up to the light language, obviously you also go into healing on a deeper level where it really triggers your memories of other lives when you brought through your gifts and it didn't end too well. And that obviously definitely came up for me, a lot of blocking the throat, a lot of memories around persecution of various things. So it helps you obviously to clear that on a deeper level as well. And just the confidence levels, when I think of the first time I came on your level 1, and yeah, it was a big deal to try and speak, and then to actually overcome the nerves with trying to channel through some light language, you know, and that has just obviously massively transformed my confidence levels. And, you know, even on a physical level, you know, I've had asthma since I was 13, and when I first started to bring the light language through, and particularly with the elementals where they come through really quickly, I was struggling a bit with my breathing. But again, the longer that I've been doing it, it's just massively opened up my breathing. That I've halved the dose of my inhalers, which is amazing. And I think, yeah, it's just that little bit more trust to get off them completely. But it's
isn't that incredible? Like, yeah, nearly down to not having to use your inhaler. Well, you did have to use it every day, didn't you? And you don't anymore.
Yeah. I still have, yeah, one a day, you know, one puff a day, but yeah, it's half the dose. And sometimes I do actually forget to take it, because my breathing is fine. So yeah, it's amazing.
Incredible. Yeah, I love stories like this, and I do believe you'll eventually be down even more very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
But the healing stories that we all have from, I suppose, I mean, what is light language? It's a tone, it's a frequency, it's a vibration that we all have within us. And all we're doing is having it activated either by self or like that when we're in a container, right, together. And we're channeling through the divine energies. And of course, that's filtering out through our bodies and accessing our cellular memories, our cellular membranes, healing physically, mentally, emotionally. Of course it is. And then we see it. We see it in our day-to-day lives. And I will say, like, if you watch my last live, I did 3 or 4 days ago, I was talking about going into that death feeling, like, you know, the cycle that we move into every now and again. For me, I tend to, you know, it's like a wave, you're riding the wave. And sometimes we get those dips, you know, life comes at you, things happen, you got to process it. And I know with light language, and because it's an energy frequency healing, it's a healing. When I kind of go, don't forget, you've got this, it's a tool, use it, even though some part of you is sometimes resistant when you're in that space, right? Yeah. And then you kind of come around to it, and it's just even the littlest bit in the shower. And then it was like the littlest bit, and it was like tiny morsel of this self-love. That's what it was. Tiny little morsel after morsel. And I could feel like, okay, I can open the windows, I can breathe, I can see clear, I can now kind of show my face again. I'm coming out of this. I'm riding that wave out. And light language for me was, it was one of those, there's a surfboard to ride the wave, right? Yeah. Right, we got the Beach Boys music on. That's what it was for me. And that's only like a few weeks ago. And I still pinch myself. And I know part of my purpose, Paula, and I believe it's part of your purpose too, is once we are initiated, once we are activated, and it doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter by whom, or if it's by self or someone else. Really, nobody activates you, by the way. I just did a lesson on this today to put up into the online platform. What is Paula and I? What are Paula and I? Who are Paula and I? We're helping hold a container, right, as activators that initiate you into your own activation. We don't actually physically go in and activate, right? It's you. You're the ones that just by being in the presence of others that are activated, something turns on, the switch flicks on. Isn't that it? And we're witnessing that. We're allowing you build that trust. We're letting you feel safe to do that. We're letting you build that confidence. That's what we're facilitating and guiding anything else along the journey. Like, that's the whole point of when others activate you. There are spontaneous activations, because people ask about that. And that's, you know, the energy flows through you, you're spontaneously activated. And then there are those that get activated in containers like this. I will say I've had lots of people that have had spontaneous activations come and do my course more than once in level 1. So it doesn't mean that you can't come into a space and grow even more. I'm going to have a little breather, and Paula, is there anything you want to add into that? Because I'm going to check and see the comments as well.
Yeah, and I think actually, to be fair, I think I said to you, because I did your July container before the light language course, so I did actually start to have, even though that wasn't the intention for that container, it did start to activate. I had a moment of releasing something when clearly some light language came out. But you know what is great about the containers is, like we say, it's that group energy, isn't it, that comes together for it. So no one, you know, the structure can be very similar, but it's no one group is the same, because it's everybody's energy that's coming into it for that particular course, bringing their own keys and codes to activate each other. So, you know, there's always been something different, hasn't there, for each, you know, each time. And I guess as always, whoever's meant to come together comes together, which is obviously, you know, sometimes it's a bit of a soul remembrance, isn't it, of coming back together.
Soul families,
yeah,
reconnecting, finding each other on the grapevine. It really is miraculous when we're in those spaces and kind of see that, and see all of our eyes, the flicker of remembrance. Like, it's almost like you see it flash across our eyes when we're in those spaces. It takes my breath away every time. Like, I get what you're saying. I believe that to be so true as well. Actually, I'm looking at one of the questions here, and we've kind of answered it. Paula has answered her part. It's from Bernadette. And Bernadette McDonough, a very Irish name. And Bernadette's question is, when did you start speaking light language? And you kind of answered that, Paula.
Yeah, only 2 years ago.
Isn't it? 2 years ago, exactly. Yeah. And did it just happen naturally, or did you learn it? I suppose I kind of talked about the activation versus learning, right? We don't learn light language. Although we say, like, come and join a workshop, you learn it. You might hear people say that. You don't actually learn it. It's not like, you know, English or French, where you go to school and you'll sit at the table and the teacher's at the front of the desk, right? And the teacher is saying verb, tense, you know, and oh my God, the vocabulary. And it's not like that. It's not like that. It's a remembrance, and that word's coming up again, a re-remembrance. What we mean by that is every soul is unique, and every soul comes from source, let's say, right? And we each have a fingerprint of source, and that fingerprint holds a blueprint, okay? And each blueprint, some people might call the blueprint, contains the Akash, and some people might call the Akash your soul memory bank, okay? Now, I can get really complicated in this. I'm going to keep it as simple as I can, just explaining this, Bernadette. In everybody's soul memory bank, we have all the multi-dimensions of lives lived and yet to live. We have all the realms of existence, both on Earth and outside of it. All universes, okay, we're going to expand outside this universe into other universes, okay? And every blueprint is different. Every blueprint is nuanced in that. And you could call that Akash as well. I call it kind of the blueprint. It's easier because your Akash is super vast, but when you're in this physical body, it's easier to call it a blueprint, because you're not going to remember, right, all the millions and billions of experiences that you've had in other timelines or lifetimes or planets, okay? So let's get back into what I was saying. When did you learn? Does it happen naturally? So with the blueprint, with light language, you hold, like, all your light languages are held in that as well, if you want to call that dialects. Let's call them dialects. Different tones, frequencies, vibrations, wavelengths, language technologies that are from the timelines, lifetimes, let's say, or experiences your soul has had as it's been swimming around the universe and having experiences in this place and that place with this person and that person. And holding those vibrational tones depending on the time it's in, the space it's in, the planet it's in, whatever reality it's in at that time, Okay, so naturally it can happen. You're in meditation and spontaneously you're accessing that aspect of your blueprint that holds that language, and it filters through you and you're just letting it flow out, right? So lots of people have that. It happened to me that way when I was working. It tends to happen when you're kind of channeling, right? I was doing I think it was distance healing, and I could hear in my head sounds, words that weren't English. And I was like, oh, they were like, if I wasn't saying them, they get stuck in my throat. Now, this is going back 2018, I think. And the thing was, it wasn't a flow. It was every so often words. And I'd say them, it would come out maybe as one sentence, right? And I'd say it, and I was kind of going, I'd say it under my breath. I wasn't really kind of like broadcasting it, right? And Paula, you get what I mean when I say that as well. And I felt I couldn't get the full flow. So I actually went to a container and I got an activation over the course of a weekend with a lady called Kalina Malnar. If anybody's familiar with her, super beautiful, powerful light language channeler from the USA. And in that container, I had the confidence because everybody was doing it, right? It wasn't just me on my own, kind of isolated, not knowing what's this. And in that space, I was like, okay, I'm safe to do it. I'm going to express it and I'll get the validation as well. And that's what happened. Once I did that, and it was like one day, we didn't even it wasn't even a light language activation over the course of the weekend. She only spent an hour actually with us, and we just spoke it for maybe 20 minutes. Those 20 minutes were all I needed to let the flow out. And once the flow happened, well, here I am today. Okay. It's 2 years later or 3 years later. How many years ago was that? 3 years later, with just such an expansion into it. And it's play for me. It's become one of my biggest passions. And it's really directed me in my life, you know, in every way, and how I can give and be in service as well. So it was spontaneous to an extent, is what I want to say, Bernadette. I know my answer is more complicated than Paula's. And then once I went into a container, it started to flow like none other thing. And I was accessing all different types of things, right? And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about as well, not to hijack Paula, but Paula was talking about a container and how important it is when we get together in a container. Okay, and we're not on our own lone wolfing it, right? Because I'm a big lone wolfer. But when I come into a container, and it's what I've seen, and Paula, you've experienced this as well, and I've experienced your languages actually coming out in this way with containers.
Yeah.
You have an I have an I am, Paula has a blueprint, I have a blueprint, you do too, Bernadette, and so does everybody else watching, right? And you've all different experiences, gorgeous, unique fingerprints, right? And when we come together, your team, my experiences, my blueprints, we're creating a circle, and it comes together, and it's as one, which means you now also have access to me, my blueprint, my dialects, my languages, my frequencies. You have access to Paula's. You have access to the next lady, the next lady, the next lady. So the potentiality for you to expand and grow all the versions of frequencies, tones, dialects is there. And I get to access yours. And that's how so much of my new ones for me comes through, is because I co-create. It's co-creation. What a gift it is. It opens doorways. Okay, I'm off the soapbox now. Burns, that was a really long way for me to answer the question. I'm going to reel it back in. But I get so passionate. Paula, how do you feel about what I shared?
I was going to say, just to add to that as well, I think it is divine timing, isn't it? Because, you know, like I had an experience in my 20s in a meditation group where I think, you know, I connected out of my comfort zone, and it frightened me, and I came round and I could just see everyone as white light, which, you know, since then I've been like, wow, I'd love to have that experience again. But at the time it scared me, and I think I shut down. And, you know, the lady that I did my crystal therapy training with, she started speaking light language So, you know, I went to some sessions with her in my 30s, but I think still for me, it obviously wasn't the right time. You know, and I would listen to Jamie Price and her monthly videos. So I was aware of light language for a long time, but it obviously wasn't the right time for me because I still didn't feel safe enough for it. And I still had a lot of, you know, stuff to clear out of my body and things to see. So I think, you know, doing the I Love You Me started to, you know, go into that process and release a lot of stuff that then I was in a place when I was ready to, you know, to allow the light language to come through. But like you say as well, it's, you know, having that safety in that group space and being able to get over your nerves of like, am I just bringing through gobbledygook or is this actually light language? But I think definitely, you know, feeling safe is a big part of it as well.
You kind of brought back for me as well when you mentioned that a memory I have, because the first time I ever heard light language, and it was called speaking in tongues at the time. I'm from a Irish Catholic background, and I think one of my babysitters at the time, she went to a charismatic, the charismatic movement was big in the 90s, right? And she went to a prayer meeting and she came back and she was speaking tongues. And I remember being 8 going, what's that? And my next experience was on a retreat in Medjugorje in Bosnia, and 300 people sang and filled the room with, again, they called it tongues, and I get into that in the course, what's the difference between both, light language. And my aunt was with me and she's like, just let it flow. And I was like, I'm not worthy enough. That was a big thing for me, to have to work through worthiness, to give myself permission. So Paula, you kind of, you know, when we say there's a timing thing, sometimes, like you said, I Love You Me, which is one of the methods that we're offering in the course as well, if anybody needs a session to help clear this kind of stuff. I Love You Me, I've obviously started that back in 2017, and became a practitioner the same as Paula. We're both practitioners under Tara Love Perry, a beautiful soul reader. That session, those sessions, those coaching sessions bring you deep into the places that you have blocks. And one of my biggest one was unworthiness. So yes, sometimes the timing is when we do the work as well, shadow work, and then we create that clearing, we clean the slate so that we're giving ourselves permission and we allow the healing in, so we're able to access the blueprint and allow ourselves to be activated. I don't know if I'm putting that in such a good way.
It's true, isn't it? And like you say, it's almost like once you've opened the tap, then it just goes from strength to strength. And I think you build up your trust, feeling safe, and, you know, surrendering to allow it to come through. But it's just getting over those initial blocks and hurdles.
Totally true. Maria has a question. I'd love to hear about light language to heal others from a distance. I do experience this in certain situations. Some days it just won't come anymore, and suddenly it's back again. I'd love to hear from you experiencing this too. That's an interesting one, Maria. Paula, how do you feel about answering that one?
Well, I suppose, again, it's like, you know, anything when we send healing energetically. I mean, I guess because of the last couple of years, since I have been speaking the light language, you know, I do practically all my sessions over Zoom, or I'll do a little recording, just tapping into someone's energy of, you know, maybe what they need or just for their highest good, and then just trust and allow the transmission to come through and send it to them, you know, which is, as we know, just as powerful. That it's always what is needed, and to be received will be received.
And to add to that a little bit, Maria, we cover that a lot now in light language level 2, don't we? We actually, we kind of, you're more or less given all the tools to set up your own business and do the distance healing. And there's so much practice. It's part of the requirement of the course. But we won't talk about level 2 today. It's level 1 we're kind of going on. But to kind of give you a little bit more juice there, I'm just going to tap into your energy just for some fun, if you give me permission, Maria. I'm going to say, I wonder. So I wonder, when you're doing energy healing, I wonder, is it a type? Like, does it have its own name? So is it Reiki or Rising Star or, Rahini or something like that? And let's say I'm just pretending, right? Let's say you're sending healing in that way, or angelic IET or something like that. And you're using light language with it. You don't necessarily, that's combining modalities. You don't necessarily have to combine modalities. But let's say you're doing it that way. So sometimes the light language is silent, all right? And silent light languages could come through the body, through the eyes, and you still feel the healing. Others still feel the healing. So sometimes language can't be heard, right? It's not converted into language. We're calling it light language, but it's more than that. It's a tone, a frequency, a vibration, energy. It's not heard by the human ear, but it's still moving through the body and still moving out the hands. And perhaps if you see it with a third eye, you see the symbols coming out through you, you see the colors perhaps. That's light language. It's another aspect of it. It's another form of it. Just because you're not speaking it doesn't mean it's not coming through you, because I need to let you hear that out loud, because that feels true when I say that for you. The mind can sometimes go, but I'm not, and that means something's not happening. But is that really true? And is it exactly what needs to happen in that moment for that particular person or place or being that you're sending that healing to? So, little disclaimer as well, light language doesn't need any other modality with it. It is its own healing modality. You're bringing your own unique, actual, attuned healing in. We get into that in level 2 a little bit more as well. And I'm not going to go down that road today. We're going to focus on level 1. But thank you, Maria. Hopefully that answered some of your question as well. Sarah, reawaken, remember, reactivate. Sarah was activated, she says, spontaneously, and it was like Tourette's. Oh, I totally know what you mean. Yeah. Wondered, what the hell is happening here? Especially while she was shopping. Oh no, you're one of the people that happened to in public. I'm sorry for laughing. We talked about this in one of the courses. Oh, it was really forceful. Right, look, it happens. But I love it now. Good. Sarah, just to play with you on this, because there's no right and wrong, right? There's no right and wrong to do light language, no way, right? We talk about spontaneous activation, and we talk about the more controlled version of speaking. And as channels, as we kind of get awakened, right? So let's say the crown chakra, let's say you're opening it up. So in some of us, let's say it's like that, and some of us it opens a bit like that, and then we bring the light language through, and it's a bit more controlled. In some people, it goes ka-ding, and that's that whole thing of I have no control. It's like that, right? And you could be in the bank, you could be having your teeth cleaned. It happens. Unfortunately, some places it isn't as comfortable for that to happen. As we practice, and as everything kind of starts to settle and realign, and again, actually in our containers, it helps with that greatly, because the container itself anchors and grounds and helps attune that in such a way that you can choose that type of flow. Let's call it's a flow. Choose that flow, but also when and where and how big it is. And if we need to bring it in, we can. Let's say it's nighttime and people are asleep, we can bring it down a little. It's so much fun to play with this, and again, practice, experience, co-creation with that. You can fine tune it. You don't have to, but it's there, right? It's there, and that's why I'm just saying it out loud. Yeah, it's amazing. Let's see, is there any other questions? Hi, Claire. Silent sounds great for some that might fear if they hear. Absolutely. That's something we get into in level 2 as well. There are some situations, settings and peoples, let's just say even, you might work with animals, and some animals, there's certain sounds that will kind of, horses, let's say, or something like that, or you might work with special needs, and certain sounds may actually, it's cutting through for them. So there's a perfect tone that will come through, and sometimes it's silent and you're bringing it through that way. And again, that's that whole thing of fine tuning and what's for the highest good, what's the greatest good through intention and just open heart. Paula, is there anything you want to add to that actually?
Well, the signing as well gets covered, doesn't it? In the course, that is what's great, that you get to play with the lots of different ways of doing it, because we were saying earlier, weren't we, for me, the actual spoken word of the light language is what I'm passionate about and can bring through lots of different frequencies, but the actual writing part, it was always just one style, one frequency that was coming through for me, which I probably, could experiment a bit more with now to see if that would develop, as I'm sure it would. But I think just because I was so passionate about the speaking side, I never really went back to the writing, whereas for other people, they absolutely flourished in the art and the writing, don't they? And then maybe the speaking, where there might be some more confidence blocks, that can be a little bit slower to come through.
So true, such a good point. And that kind of, we might call that dominance, light language dominance, that some of us have more dominant forms of light language. And that's why the word light language, it's a bit of a misnomer, because it's not just language. I mean, it's written, it's art, it's dance, it's, you said hand signing, it's movement. And there's been many people come onto the course that have so much signing actually come through, and they've been coming to unblock the throat for it to flow through the speak, right? The sound, the tone. But neither one is better nor less than. The energy is equal, and it goes exactly where it needs, whether you speak it or you sign it, where it comes through the eyes, right? When it's activated and you're the channel, the open channel of love for the highest intention, the highest good connection to the highest source energy, it's coming through in that way. The signing and the art, yeah. Like yourself, Paula, I was speaking first, and the writing kind of came after for me, and it was spontaneous actually. And just by doing these workshops, I've gotten to explore into things I didn't know was possible, or all the different I can't say the word, variety. Variety. Do you want to say it for me? Variety. Why am I having, I've had problems today saying words. Variety. We're going to skip over this part. Unfortunately, it's live and I can't delete it. All the different ways is the easier. I'll stick to the simplified.
We've just blame it on the powerful energies the last couple of days.
I'm tongue-tied. I love that. Thank you, Claire, for bringing up the silent light language as well, and how that can look and how it can feel. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful. Okay. Oh, wait. Claire says as well, my clients are having very strong lightheadedness and tiredness after healing sessions. Any advice? I haven't started the light language. Yeah, you wanted to come on the course. I know that, Claire. I'm going to clear my throat now. So we're kind of going back to when I was talking about the open crown, right? And when I was talking about when we bring through vast amounts of tones, frequency, energy, and we're letting it flow out. Not everybody will have lightheadedness. Let's just say not everybody will, but let's say there is quite a few. The grounding and anchoring of energy is really, we talk about this in level 2. Again, these are kind of level 2 questions. You guys are just going like, woohoo! Mm-hmm. So we talk about this in level 2 quite a lot, and we do experience, practicing this as well. So when we're bringing through quite a lot, if it's in ourselves, let's say we feel lightheaded, there's a grounding element that happens. Sometimes when energy comes through, if we have our own personal stuff, right, traumas or blocks or anything, if we imagine that we're like a river, and let's say we're pretending now, right, a block is like a dam or a rock. The river has to go around it, or it builds up. And sometimes when the energy is not fully flowing down into the earth, if we're not fully connected and anchored in the way that it needs for that particular frequency, because some frequencies really need a lot of grounding. Like it just won't work without it. It'll end up being like a sieve, a water sieve, and it'll just go and it won't be absorbed in the way it needs, right? So grounding, anchoring, and movement, it really deeply is important for that. With regards to the clients, it's the same thing. What might be happening is they're getting a flush of energy through. And sometimes what happens is if you were to flush out a dirty sink, right? Sometimes it works really fast. It'll like lots of energy at once will flush it down the drain. And sometimes it'll clog because there's just too much there. And that heady space thing can happen as well. Now, these are only some examples. There's actually a myriad of reasons this might happen, but I'm only going to cover 1 or 2. Because I'd be here all night talking, to be honest. I'm sorry, there's too much. So it could be that their root stuff. So it could be fun to play with the grounding before you bring in the energy. It could be fun to play with that. It could be fun to look at anything around the root and sacral, because that tends to be quite, in most people, not always, but in most, if there is something there with grounding, it tends to be around there. Sometimes it's around the feet. And if there's any resistance in the person as well to actually trusting the energy, and sometimes people get a little frightened, like, because this you can really feel, and they're deciding, actually, I won't allow all that in. Like, even if it's not conscious, it could be subconscious. They might be going, I'll only let 30% of that in now. And even that can create that sense up here. Another thing, again, okay, I have 1 more. I'm not going to go into any more, but another one is with the lightheadedness is the rewiring as well at the end of sessions. And there's lots of energy moving, and it's a residue effect of the clear out. If you imagine, it'd be splashback. It's a residue effect, and it just needs to clear. Another thing is the brain is rewiring as well. If there's been a bit of mental stuff going on, asking your clients, this is what coming in for yours, to you're going to be giving them specific direction after sessions, and directions on if they're to place hands, they're to breathe in. And you find your way doing this. This is an example, right? You find your way. You'll be giving them actual grounding self exercises if it's at a distance. This is distance work. And if you're doing them in person, you'll be spending a bit of time there, clearing that space around the head. This kind of thing, vagal nerve stuff. Now we do a lot of reset nervous systems, because that's very important. If your nervous system's shot and you're bringing in light language, you're in for some trouble, right? Resetting nervous systems and grounding that energy through so that you can have the capacity to hold it, to anchor it, to embody it. And that creates the healing at a very deep level. This is very nuanced, so I can't get into too much more of that. I'm looking at time. I'm sorry, I could talk forever again. So there are only some examples here. It's not the all and everything. And often what I would say for you is you're super intuitive. Move into your nice space and ask those questions for that client. What needs to happen with this client regarding, and you're breathing in and you're feeling and you're receiving that information. And are you trusting what comes through, or are you questioning it? And again, this is all practice. Like, we get this with more practice and trust, and it's discernment. You know, there's no one way fits all for every client. So that's the best way I can kind of finish that answer. Paula, anything you want to add? And I'll see, is there any more questions?
No, I think you've covered it, haven't you? And I think as well, at the moment, there's just so much on so many levels, isn't there, with the energy coming in and how it's affecting people, and, you know, a lot more powerful stuff coming through. So it's a balance, isn't it, of working with integrating it all.
Really true. So we just, like, this week was a gateway week. And when we go to gateway weeks, the energies are amplified. It's like the earth is a suction pump and it's bringing in loads. And what you might find is when you're in meditation, your healings are more amplified. Or when you, let's say you've booked in with the therapist or you've booked in with the healer, you'll be hit a bit more afterwards, the time that we're in, just because the gateway is there. So if you're working with people now, you might notice they might have a deeper integration, or they might have more symptoms, like healing symptoms afterwards. So what would be, let's say, if you were to tune in and ask, what's your advice on this guide source, you know? There's a lot more allowing, perhaps. Maybe we're not controlling. I need to send the healing here this way. Maybe it's more softer. Maybe everything's coming through us in a softer way with less intensity. Sometimes we feel we need to give that punch to hit that spot, you know, but maybe it doesn't. And again, I'm using the words maybe here because there's no absolute. It's really a feeling. But I will say, gateway stuff, I felt it even this morning tuning in. I was like, wow. Right, you were saying it, Paula, about the 22. You were like, whoa, weren't you?
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't doing that face, by the way. You get what I mean. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm like a puppy dog tonight, guys, because I'm just so excited about this next workshop. I'm like, okay, breathe in, Mary. I'm so excited. Oh, because I can feel what's coming, and it's just, I will say there's lots of dragon energy around, and this workshop feels there's going to be a lot of beautiful dragon energy as well. I'm going to say that as a little preview. Let me see, is there any other? Claire is saying, okay, Claire, ooh, okay. Now that's, not your fault. I would say there's, that's their integration systems as well. So just guiding people, I can say, is the best you can do afterwards with your integration protocols, and grounding, taking it easy, slowing down. A lot of people's lessons this week could be around slowing down, because the energies are quite potent. It's something I told my mother today leaving the house. I'm like, your message today is slow down. Right. Paula,
We're not very good at doing that, are we, sometimes?
I go through phases of it. It's like I'm super mellow, and then there's other phases where I'm kind of like this, and it's like passion. Let me see. Have I answered all the questions, Paula? I don't know if you're seeing them. Yeah, it's a market.
I wasn't seeing them.
Hopefully I have. If I haven't, please post below. And remember, this container is open from the 14th of March to the 4th of April, isn't it? Yeah. And we have evening lessons or evening, live calls. And then if you can't make some of them, there's also a half a day weekend. So you're not going to miss anything, essentially, if you make time, make your time in such a way that you can get at least one of those. Everything is on replay. The activations are as potent on replay. Do you want to say who we have joining us that are confirmed for now? Paula, would you like to say who's coming?
We have the lovely Laurel Davis, who's going to be joining for the art, the drawing workshop. which I'm doing with Laurel. And then you're doing the dance and the signing with the lovely Niomi. Yeah.
And Laurel is a lady from the USA. She's over 30 years of healing experience. She is an artist, a light language artist, a light language speaker, a light language writer. She combines both modalities. What else is she?
Yeah, she's a powerful lady.
Oh, she is. Yeah. Oh, she is. She's just such a beautiful soul, and she's gracing us with her presence to bring her vast wisdom into that lesson. For those of you that are very interested in creative expression with light language, that is, you don't want to miss that lesson. You don't want to miss that call. It really is something else. I'm getting chill. I kind of feel the chills running through my body just talking about this. It's like her energy's coming in now going, yeah. And one of the next calls that we'll have is with Niomi, as Paula said there, a lady that's living in Sweden right now. So we have the beautiful Nordic and the USA countries coming in here. We have UK and Ireland, and there might be a couple more as well, guest speakers. And Niomi is an expert in the sense that she is a kundalini and tantric dance teacher, and she is a divine feminine embodiment coach, as well as a light language activator. Now this lady both Laurel and Niomi have been on my level 1s and level 2s, and they're bringing their unique expertise into this space as well, because they're so proficient now in the light language and combining it with their modalities that you're using. So Niomi is going to be giving us a really potent womb healing, right? Kundalini activation and womb healing. I'm really looking forward to this. She's a magical lady, just as Laurel is. They're totally different. Both lives will be totally different. Niomi's will include dance and hand movement and body movement, and allowing and unblocking that as well. Because just as I was saying there with resetting nervous systems, the body and the language of light and unblocking it and embodiment, it's all part of the journey. It really is, you know. So that's just a taster, my loves. Who wouldn't want to sign up, right? Please share this with others. This is from our heart. We do this for passion. We do this to spread this light, to ripple out that effect so that you too, just like Paul is here now, just like Naomi's here now, just like Laurel is now, they're rippling it out and they're bringing that to their peoples, their families. And then their families are going to bring it out and their clients are going to bring it out. And that's what it's about. So if there's anybody that you know that is looking for something like this, please tag them, please share this. And I'm going to invite Paula to bring through a transmission. And I'm just going to see, hello, Diane. Oh, I love you. Thank you, my darling.
Is that our Star Tribes, Diane?
Yes. Another previous contender, another lady that was on level 1 and 2, another beautiful, powerful, magical lady with beautiful artwork as well. So a powerful, powerful healer. Thank you, Diane, for showing up today and giving us hugs and kisses. So I should say about Star Tribes, I suppose, because of these courses, right, these workshops, we needed a space to hold this energy, and we created as a group Star Tribes, and that's going to grow into a whole school of everything you could ever want, right? That's what the vision we kind of feel from it right now. And obviously we're providing free monthly transmissions right now, and there's lots of content in the Star Tribes group for you if you haven't yet joined. So there's a little aside about Star Tribes. My darling, Paula, would you bring through a transmission for us for the highest good on anything that you wish or feel? How do you feel about that right now?
Yeah, I'll bring through a transmission just to help and assist with what's needed, obviously, in these powerful couple of days, and just helping to ground and just bring some balance. Kia tohua sataya no kuasa. Kia tohua sataya no kuasata. Kia tukuhuasa taya no kuasa. Kia kuata. Kia tukuhuasa. Kia ya kutuhuasa naya tutuaka. Kia tukuhuasa taya. Kia no huasa taya no kuasa. Kia tahaya no kuaka. Kia tukuhuasa taya no kuasa. Kia ya kutuhuasa taya no kuasa taya no kuuata. Kia te kutuhuasa taya no kuasa taya. Kia ya kata aya no kuasa taya. Kia tukuhuata ka aya no kuasa taya. Kia te kutuhuasa taya no kuasa. Kia ya kata aya no kuasa taya. Kia tukuhuasa taya no kuasa. Kia ya kata aya no kuasa taya. Kia tukuhuasa. Kia tuhuasa taya no kuasa. Kia ya kata aya no kuasa taya. Kia dududua sataya no kuasa. Kia taka haya no kuasa taya no kuaka taya. Kia taka aya tuku uat ai. Iat ayat uat ayat it urt ai. Yati tuku tuku tuku.
My attention from what beautiful Paula brought through, and there's a Pleadian collective there moving through her as well as some other frequencies, that whatever love and light needs to move as well into the discordant energies on earth right now. We're looking at Russia, Ukraine, but the highest good of all beings everywhere receiving this transmission. It's other amnala every asu oshutuai. Nannone asi atwa. Gura idendane u asi kiri iri ar ut uri abda. Ibdi abrabru baradi ati. Kundanane zamadeva oyasi. What the atkeshutur. Ut masha. Ure amdane shavara ari. Ia da bu Kuana siaga Thank you. Siaktmaye kiat atkia nama awayeti. The goddess being coming through Kamashikat Etiama Alahati Ati Akamasai. Nirma Uti Amasati Ututi Amdana Atayetama Ataiti. And she's speaking about staying in the heart, residing in the heart, and she's looking to balance that pathway. Kudmaya Timasho to Etiba Ata At Mutiati Ataki Atamasuti Atabaala. In the Remanu Niman and Ma Ainima Aoteamane Atiamasuru. Udimala Are Abdke. And the re-remembrance of all that you be, that is why we are here. And we're playing out these funny games. She's inviting us back to the great mother energy. No. Ishi wa akayeti amasaka ut kushiti mala ati amata te utu. The itri matram drum dim dram dronim dram drum dim dram drum dim dram do. Imdrim dram drum sigma davri ma haseturia ma aye. Andina seya akayati at kuishi. Utkini ma at kiesh uku. Atkini ma ashe at kaa. Utkimina ashe akatima. Atku utku oshkataye ande hatka. Kutkiria tu kushki at auti andana eoso. Hapshuya male ati. Hatkeni mahase ataka. Atkiana tuyata kashka waya bahasiana maeti. She's been talking quite a bit now. She's working through the upper chakra levels into the soul blueprints that we spoke about, where memories of destruction, she's talking about the destruction energies that are separating us from the divine mother, divine father, creator, Kutamash Katayati. And she's referencing the body and how the body's holding wounds, the cellular memories within us. And this is what is creating this warlike effect, right? Either within ourselves as well as what we're seeing outside, because anything within is what is reflecting without. She's now asking us to remove the betrayal between the heart, and when I say the word betrayal, she's referencing abandonment, loneliness, hurt, unlovable, unlovable me. Who's feeling that right now? Open up the heart chakra. Het andere was dat it uskut andere eve esi hatskiata mati atku ushut eti mata, and she's calling back all power that's been given away, taken away. Yandanamasukiata, releasing the enslavement energies. Hatamahutiata hatkie the amala wae osoto the amasikia. So und it was okay, anka 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 sumdinima aska etima atka anka sumdinima akiata anga anka etikma aku asikiasi. So the anka symbol, the symbol of life coming through, dundanama asekati, and she's using this key to open the systems within us now. She's getting caught at the solar plexus, and this is around the empowerment, and she's just asking us to breathe in and move into the womb. I'm going to invite in the dragon energies now to work through all of us and work through the womb of earth as well. Kamosh kamichi kamachi hamdri eki washkata wahailia makaya vaba ishkma ati. This is the dragon. Guamba ishkwaikema duk miki ahoki akta itu urkushkut antke haka Allah sukuntke wayakal et moya et nemo. Et oya and the infinity symbol, and you can imagine the symbol, the figure 8, imagine it as a beautiful color coming through the crown. Any color that you wish, that you resonate with now, the infinity symbol moving through you, the anka moving through you, and spinning, clearing and cleansing all the way down. Releasing the shoulder burdens. Responsibility, trying to get it right. Down into the womb, the hara space, opening up that root and breathing in, softening the sphincters. Sitting space, breathe and sigh. And open. Whoa, Tokiatama. And hum with me. Dohedo. Makalina. Whoa, Sotiana. Feeling your feet in the ground. Letting that deep sound resonate through your body. Yo sonoi nasunka nero sotoye nandriatoro oshola indimala sokundo into the earth indimala sokono gayase into the earth, dropping down, dropping the feet into the earth, softening the bum-bums, softening the urethras. Eoko. Anchor down. So they're showing me as well, like if we're feeling like ships lost at sea, ships being strewn about in the gusts of nature, the gusts of time, of pressure, of problems, of chaos. Anchor down, drop anchor, and the seas will calm around you bit by bit, wave by wave. You need to find the home. The home is earth, the home is the body, on earth. And this is just going out to Ukraine, Russia specifically, and you can join me with that. Stopping at the show. We invite the dragons to run along the ley lines there, please. High school, thank you. And to run into all the other countries that are involved, including China and including the US. Clearing energy. May it run under your feet wherever you are in the world. And clear that space for you too. The earth dragons. And that is all. We are complete. Okay. You might need a glass of water. Hopefully you feel grounded after that as well. How do you feel, Paula?
Yeah, definitely feel more grounded. Yeah, it's interesting that there's been a lot actually coming up, I think, hasn't there, in the solar plexus the last week or so.
Yeah.
And anything, to be honest, I think that's now has been ready to come out. It's like, you know, certainly I had a big release in my solar plexus of something I knew needed to come out. And it was like, yep, it's coming. Yeah.
And I suppose it's being reflected in the world, the power struggles.
Yeah.
The power piss. I mean, they're pissing contests and power, you know, over one another. That was also the enslavement energy that we had that great goddess being come in with. You brought in beautiful energy of love. Oh my God, it was just so soft and clearing. I felt a lot of Pleadian in it, like a soft blanket. And then you brought in some other elemental. And what else did you feel came through in the first transmission you brought in there?
Yeah, well, when the elementals come through, I always feel like it's quite clearing, but it just felt the start of it was, yeah, just bringing in, like you say, the love, calming it down, just bringing some balance in.
It was beautiful. Thank you for that. I will see. Is there any other comments or questions? I think we're done. Oh, hello, Crystal. I see you're after coming on. Goosebumps, energy flowing through you. Amazing. Bernadette feeling it as well. Elena, a beautiful lady. Elena, my dragon friend. And Sarah, thank you. You're welcome, Bernadette. Please share this on your pages. We don't mind. It's public. It's public viewing. Let the peoples get this transmission as well. Tag anybody you know that maybe is looking, maybe you've heard them say, oh, I'd love to be doing something like this. Tag them. I mean, this is shameless, obviously, me saying this, but it's not for us. This is to allow that ripple effect out. That's our passion here. Thank you, Paula, for joining me. and sharing your wisdom and your beauty and your beautiful light language. Thank you. And I'm so excited to co-create with you as well.
Me too. Thank you.
I love you, ladies. Thank you so much. Mwah. Bye.